Today, the pomp and ceremony is over. The millions of mourners have gone home. And here, in the quiet English countryside, Diana is finally at peace. Almost at the last minute, the Spencer family decided to bury her here on this island in the family estate in Northamptonshire, rather than in the village church. Diana has now been laid to rest. The end of a chapter, certainly, but probably not the end of the book. In the last 5 years of her life, Diana and her modern ways gave the royal tree a mighty shake. And in her passing, she leaves the Queen and Charles with one of their greatest challenges ever. It's been a turbulent week for Britain's royal family. It was no secret that they didn't enjoy a happy relationship with Princess Diana. So in the lead up to her funeral, the Queen's silence was seen as, well, at least heartless and maybe mean-spirited.
Since the age of 26, she's been monarch of this country, and she has done what she considers to be her duty, and never, until now, has she ever been criticised. This is the first time I've heard the kind of criticism levelled at the Queen that's been levelled at her in the last few days.
Ingrid Seward is the editor of Majesty magazine and the author of 5 royal biographies. Has the institution been damaged irreparably?
Possibly the institution was damaged by Diana's being, and I mean, they didn't understand her in life, and they are bewildered by her in death.
It wasn't only the Queen who came under fire. Diana's death has reopened the old wounds, the wounds caused by her divorce from Prince Charles. And that astonishing demonstration of affection for Diana shows that many of the monarch's subjects have judged Charles harshly.
They mishandled it so badly that one begins to think that William, who obviously is the focus of attention and emotion, is their only hope of survival. Charles is a very unpopular man.
Anthony Holden is a royal biographer who now believes that Prince William has been permanently scarred by his mother's death.
It's very, very tough on him. He's going to have to spend the rest of his life in a media age dealing with the media, like the monarchy's had to in panic stations in the last few days. And he's going to be thinking, these are the people that killed my mother. That poor boy, it would be surprising if he didn't grow up with emotional problems anyway, given what's happened in his life so far.
The royals eventually went to see the flowers left at the gates of Balmoral Castle. And in a rare moment of public affection, Charles held young Prince Harry's hand. So rare an event was this, it was a front-page photo in newspapers around the world.
I think Charles is a very cold man. He's an emotional cripple, really. It's the way he was brought up. If you compare, there's a famous photograph of the Queen when he was a tiny little boy, 4 or 5 years old, just after her coronation, coming back from 6 months away, Coronation World Tour. And she arrives on a train, she gets off the train, she greets her mother, she greets her sister, and then eventually she turns to this little boy who's standing there forlornly, gives him a handshake, and straightens his collar. Compare that with the pictures you've seen of Di after a week away from her children, jumping into her arms. But that's the kind of family he was brought up in. It's no wonder, in a way, he's grown up with an inability, all of them have, an inability to treat other people as equals, to form relationships with other human beings.
So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart.
On the eve of Diana's funeral, the Queen spoke the words everyone had been waiting to hear. The speech was regal and dignified, but unemotional.
She never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her 2 boys.
She only shows emotion to horses and dogs in public, and she's 71 years old, that's the way she's always been. It doesn't mean that in private they're not as huggy and friendly as you or I might be.
If there was any lingering hostility to the royals, it wasn't apparent among the thousands of mourners who came to Hyde Park to watch the funeral on giant TV screens.
I think the Queen has rectified the bad feelings she caused initially. I think she meant what she said. People think it was hypocritical, but I do think she meant what she said.
It's what makes me speechless, really.
And what do you think of the way Charles has handled himself?
I think people forget that he's had lots of problems with it all. I saw a picture in a French magazine where he was very emotional and crying, and people don't see that side of him.
Sad day for everyone, really.
And what do you think of the role Charles played in all of this?
Haven't really got much comment.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Haven't really got much feeling on it, really. Haven't got much comment.
No comment, really.
Didn't come here for him anyway, so.
Sorry again?
We didn't come here for him.
She was a princess, a great beauty, and at the time of her death, arguably the most famous woman in the world. No longer officially a royal, she nevertheless captured public affection on a scale that eclipsed the House of Windsor.
See, the problem with Diana was that as long as she was around, she was an unguided missile.
Andrew Neil is a former editor of the Sunday Times. He serialised the biography of Diana that revealed the inner secrets of her troubled marriage.
Because she was an international superstar, more interesting, more liked than any of the rest of them, no matter how much the royal family tried to work itself back into favour with the British people, she, a woman with a grudge, as we all know, could just totally outshine them in whatever they did. Just one photo opportunity would knock the rest of them off the front page, no matter what they did.
Despite the glare of publicity, the cameras intruded into almost every moment of her life, Diana, herself the daughter of divorced parents, was determined that William and Harry should have a more realistic experience of life than some of the other royal children.
She tried to bring them up as normal children. She used to take them shopping. She used to take them to McDonald's. She used to let them wear their baseball caps on backwards and wear jeans and go to amusement parks. Of course their life isn't normal, but she tried to introduce them to what she considered was the real world.
As if to show the House of Windsor what they should be doing, Diana involved herself in a range of causes which, if not controversial, were certainly highly relevant to modern times. And she showed her compassion came from her heart.
Did I give you a discount on the...
She reinvented the art of royalty. She recreated what it meant to be royal. She associated the monarchy with urgent contemporary issues like AIDS and cancer and landmines, on which she changed government policy on both sides of the Atlantic in the last months of her life. Charles, what's he involved with? Organic farming, homeopathic medicine, going out fox hunting at weekends. That's a Britain that is gone.
Diana Spencer came from an aristocratic family whose ties to the royal family went back 500 years. This was her family home, Althorpe House, near the tiny village of Great Brington, 90 minutes drive north of London. Betty Andrew was the family cook at Althorpe House. She still lives in the nearby village and fondly remembers Diana as a child. Among her memorabilia are Christmas cards from Charles and Diana, and later from just Diana herself.
And was Charles the right man for her?
Well, he always seems to stay to me so serious. I don't really know. I mean, she chose him, he chose her, I don't know which it is.
Do you think being brought up out here in the country prepared her for her duties, her life as a princess?
Well, I don't think so. I often wonder if she realised the enormity of being a princess. Because, I mean, she was just a real country girl. Jeans and a sloppy jacket and just running about the park. I mean, she was never elegant in those days. I mean, she hated dressing up. And then to be like, how she turned out, you can't realise.
When Charles married Diana, the shy country girl became a princess and took on the duties that go with royalty. She produced the required heir and a spare, and loyally supported her husband. But privately, she became increasingly unhappy. On a trip to the Taj Mahal, it became clear she was a very lonely figure, and the end wasn't far away.
I wish to inform the House that Buckingham Palace are at this moment issuing the following statement. It reads as follows. It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate.
They threw her out of the royal family, stripped her of her rank of Royal Highness, scrapped her name from the prayers that are said for the royal family in church. It was very brutal treatment a year ago, the divorce settlement, and that's rebounded on them now, and they've tried to reclaim her and get some of the reflected glory of this week. People have said, no, you're the people that threw her out, and you're the people that ruined her life. This is an expression of love for her, not for you. If anything, it's against you.
I stand before you today, the representative of a family in grief.
Shattering convention for such an occasion, Earl Spencer made it clear he was not about to forgive or forget those who he believed were culpable in his sister's death.
All over the world, she was a symbol of selfless humanity, a standard bearer for the rights of the truly downtrodden, a very British girl who transcended nationality, someone with a natural nobility who was classless. In the last year, that she needed a title to continue to generate her particular brand of magic.
What started as a fairy tale romance became ugly separation and then a divorce. Taped conversations by both Charles and Diana were leaked to the media, and Charles himself spoke publicly of his infidelity.
Did you try to be faithful and honourable to your wife when you took on the vow of marriage?
Yes, absolutely.
And you were?
Yes. Until it became irretrievably broken down.
The person was, of course, Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman who Charles always loved but never married.
Why has Charles been condemned for simply loving another woman?
This was a case of a man who, throughout the time he was wooing Diana, engaging her, marrying her, going on a honeymoon, rearing children with her, was still seeing another woman, was still in love with another woman all the way through. But at the same time, when the people looked at Diana and they looked at Camilla Parker Bowles, they couldn't understand what he was about. What's his problem?
Goodbye, England's rose.
For a while, there was doubt whether Elton John would sing at Diana's funeral. He'd said yes, but Buckingham Palace wondered if a pop star in Westminster Abbey might be undignified.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never fading with the sunset when the rain set in.
And if Diana represented anything, she represented showing your emotions. Now, we Brits are not supposed to be good at that. We're supposed to be stiff upper lip types. But what has the nation done this week? It's just come out and wept in the streets. And there's a strong feeling this weekend that the country's really been changed.
I lead from the heart, not the head. And albeit that's got me into trouble in my work, I understand that. But someone's got to go out there and love people and show it. I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9 Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.